Well, we told y'all we were cooking up something fun. Welcome to Beyond the Box, Valley Vision's Beyond the Box. I'm Abby Alonso, Joe Mitchell, and Mr. Former LSU Baseball.
Mr. Former.
Current, you're still a national champion. That never goes away. That never goes away.
That felt like a yearbook accolade.
No.
That's what it was. Did you say Mr. LSU Baseball?
Anthony Ranaudo is going to be a part of this because, like I said, it only makes sense to talk about the defending national champions with a national champion himself.
Just 15 years ago, 16.
It
right?
still counts.
Thank you. I think so too.
I
have a ring that says so.
I've never seen that ring. You never bring that to the shop. Is it here?
No, but I probably should.
You should.
Yeah, I probably should.
You absolutely should. Well, we're at the shop today, but I will let y'all know that we are in the process of figuring out how we can get out in the community. And there's a few places around Baton Rouge that we're pretty fond of that we might be partnering with to bring you guys live shows to where you can actually sit in the room, talk to us, ask questions, be a part of the conversation.
Yeah. We're excited.
We're really pumped. And we're working on talking to a couple other former LSU baseball players about maybe coming on, making appearances. So we're building something here, but this is the first official show. Cheers to that. And you know what else we're going to cheers to? Because we like to do these St. Rock shots of the game for post
Joe, you said, what did you call it though?
But we have a new name. Hold on.
You were going with the old name. I was like, I want to give Joe the love.
I had to introduce it. Joe came up with a great name. I'll let you let everybody know what it is.
It's only fitting for baseball to have the St. Rock moonshot.
A moonshot. And how many?
That was dramatic.
We're only taking one, but there were 2 bombs today. Shout out Jared Jones and Hayden Travinski. How about that pimp job?
Oh, it's the best. I told you guys last year, it's my favorite thing ever. He's the best.
He's the most entertaining.
Yeah, it's the best. How do you know? I mean, well, when you hit the ball off the scoreboard, I guess that's a good way to know.
It did hit the scoreboard.
He's hit a few homers in his life too. So
yeah.
It was automatic. Just dropped the bat, looked at the dugout. All right, cheers to that. St. Rock moonshot. And to the beginning of Beyond the Box. Shout out to St. Rock Vodka 7-3 Distilling in New Orleans. We shout them out every show because they take good care of us. This is their vodka, the St. Rock Vodka. They are partnered Bayou Traditions, the official collective of LSU's NIL. If you want to support the athletes and LSU baseball, hopefully getting back to Omaha this year, fingers crossed. Keep the recruiting going. Maybe bring in some more national championships. This is one way to do it. Support the athletes that you love to watch. First win of the season was an interesting win, right? 11-8 over VMI. We'll take it.
It's a win.
It's the 23rd consecutive season opening win. 23 years. That means you won your season openers, right? Woo! I'm on one today.
That was crazy.
Wow, that was crazy. But the scary part is I was starting to do some math, and I'm like, oh, man, like, it wasn't 23 years ago. But
no, but like you're included in that.
Yeah, I'm included in that. I'm not that old, yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
I am included in that. 2008, 2009, 2010 was included in that window, yes, thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about opening day.
Yeah.
What are those feelings like? You were a Friday night guy. You pitched opening day.
Yeah. I remember my freshman year, it was really cool, obviously. I was unfortunately hurt, so I knew I wasn't going to pitch in the game, but the excitement on campus was it was so different. I remember even going to class that day and walking around. 2 of my roommates were in the starting lineup, Micah Gibbs and DJ LeMahieu, so I was really excited for them, and it was really cool to just be a part of that through them and that kind of stuff. So I do remember my freshman year, and that was a lot of fun. My sophomore year, the year before it was really cool because I got to actually throw the last pitch of my freshman year. I threw the last pitch in the old Alex Box Stadium in 2008 to close that out to go to Omaha, which was awesome. And then 2009, Lewis Coleman got the start on opening night because he came back for his senior year. Even though I was the Friday guy that year, Coach Maneri gave him that nod, rightfully so. And I actually loved the hell out of that because it was the first, pitch in the 2009 stadium, or the new Alex Box. And we had like fireworks and a flyover and all this stuff. I think my profile picture on Facebook for the whole year was like Austin Ross and myself sitting up looking at the fireworks after the game and stuff like that. So super cool memory there. And then 2010, I got to obviously, throw the first pitch and start opening night, which was is a surreal experience. And a kid from New Jersey got to do that and be part of this tradition down here. So, it was awesome to be there tonight and be a part of this. And after a national championship, there's always great energy too. So it was awesome.
Okay, so talking about that, after a national championship, opening day, there feels like there's a lot of buildup, right? You're going after the season we had last year. I mean, we went out there earlier. You had a couple interviews. And the setup is just complete. I mean, when you win a national championship, they're going to have the trucks and the fanatics and the Powerade tents and like a whole thing going on. But they built it up, and there's, I don't want to say pressure, but low-key pressure of like, okay, you don't want to fall back into, what do you call it? A championship hangover. That's the word you always use. Yeah. But the fan base specifically has to be realistic about, this is a different team.
A lot different team. You don't have the number 1, number 2 overall pick on this team. If you do, that would be awesome.
Right.
But.
And we were walking into the box, and I heard you talking to some guys about Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz. And those are once-in-a-lifetime kind of players that you witness, right?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. Paul Skeens, pitching-wise. I mean, Dylan Cruz is Dylan Cruz, and we kind of knew that about him too, like coming in as a freshman, and he lived up to all the hype, which I think is one of those crazy things. It's like the LeBron thing, right? I mean, the guy's on the cover at 16 years old, and he's 39 years old playing in the league right now, and he's the greatest player of all time, arguably. Dylan Cruz was that guy. He was coming in, they were talking about maybe he would be the face of LSU baseball. He could be maybe one of the best players to ever play at LSU. And I think he proved that. And obviously went out on top, winning a national championship, getting drafted number 2 overall. But Paul Skeens, I really hope the fans don't get their hopes up that we are going to find a pitcher like Paul Skeens again, because he wasn't really as hyped, obviously, as he was at the end of the year. Nobody really thought he was going to be the number 1 overall pick. And that guy is – we had a Major League All-Star pitching for us last year at Alex Box Stadium. So nobody get their hopes up. There's some great pitchers out there, and we saw some really nice arms today, and there's some really nice arms on this staff, but there is not going to be a Paul Skeens out there, and I don't know if there's ever going to be a Paul Skeens in college baseball again, honestly. You
brought up pitching. Actually, before we transfer over to that, you also made a comment about some predictions you had for both of those guys this season.
Yeah.
You want to voice them?
Oh, that was also.
I know. I'm putting you on film now.
That was like barbershop talk walking to the stadium. But no. I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. I'm a little biased, obviously, with LSU baseball, but I'm also not crazy in this. Baseball America predicted that Paul Skeens would be the opening day starter for the Pirates. So I don't think that's out of the question. The guy is 6'6", throws 100. I mean, he's going to go to camp, and he's going to
be crazy.
He's going to make the team out of camp, and I think he's going to be the best. I've said this a lot in the shop. We have a collectible shop, obviously, here in Baton Rouge, and I've been telling people when they come in here to buy his cards, because in about 2 or 3 weeks, there is going to be some crazy buzz about Paul Skeens, that he's going to potentially be the opening day starter. I don't know the last time that a guy was drafted and then the next year was the opening day starter. I don't know if that's ever happened. Steven Strasburg probably didn't do that. I don't think. I would have to look. They babied him a little bit and protected him a little bit in 2010. He was on an innings limit and things like that. So I don't know. I think he's going to start opening day, and then you heard me say something about Cruz that I think he could be a potential Rookie of the Year candidate. I don't know if he's necessarily going to start in the big leagues, but I would not at all be surprised if he did, and then be in the contention to be a Rookie of the Year or be mentioned in that sentence for sure.
Bold predictions,
but
not out the box completely, knowing those two guys. Before we get going on the pitching staff, because I do want to ask you about that and your thoughts on the guys we saw today. Question for the chat: how do we feel about the 2 p.m. game today? For 2 p.m. first pitch on a Friday,
place was jumping.
It was packed.
Standing room only.
Literally,
yep.
It was.
And
packed.
It was raining and kind of cold.
Yeah, it was not good weather.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? But no, yeah. So
I would have thought, because every year on opening day it's nasty.
You did say that earlier.
I've been saying it. I say it every year. It's LSU baseball. If there is one LSU baseball tradition, it's opening day is going to be cold, windy, or rainy, one of the three, and maybe a combination of all three.
How would you have felt if opening day was at 2 p.m.? Like, as a player?
I would hate it. I would hate it.
Wouldn't you would want the like?
I would hate it. I would hate it.
Why?
Also, I did tell you the other day that when I was pitching, like as I went along in my career, one of the worst things was like, man, I just want it to be 7 o'clock already. So maybe if I was Thatcher Hurd, I'd be like, all right, cool. I get to wake up, do a little bit of routine, and here it is. It's here, So just depends on different things. And I don't know. The weather, tonight, I bet you it's probably a lot colder out right now than it was at 2 p.m. today. So
yeah, and if y'all are going to the game tomorrow, it's going to drop, so bring jackets. All right, pitching staff. We saw Thatcher Hurd come out first. He went, 3 2/3? 2 2/3. Yeah.
First 2 innings were super crispy.
Yeah.
I thought his velo was nice. 93, 96 as a starter is always really nice. He was really sitting 94, 95, which was good. Fastball looked like it had some life. The first 2 innings he looked crispy. Gave up 1 hit throughout those 2 innings. But then the 3rd inning, he got the first 2 outs, but then had a 2-out walk, had a balk, and then was it 4 straight hits?
He ended up,
4 straight hits?
with
5 straight hits or something like
4.
that. It happened really quick.
Yep.
And he got taken out of the game, unfortunately. You were asking me about pitch counts and things like that, right? I think he ran his pitch count up to 63 pitches.
Yep.
I told you, it's not necessarily always about the pitches either. It's about the high stress of the pitches. And when we say high stress pitches, are there guys on base? Is he pitching out of the stretch? Does he have to have, runners in scoring position and things like that? Is he getting hit around a little bit? So that's usually what takes a toll on the body and the arm a lot more than necessarily the actual pitch count itself. So you could see him struggling a little bit in that 3rd inning, and Jay got the bullpen going pretty quick and got him out of there. So unfortunate, not the way he wanted it to finish, but the first 2 innings were good, and hopefully he takes that as a positive and moves forward and builds off that.
So 2-parter here. What do you look for in a Friday night guy, and is he that guy? Honestly.
It's early. We have only seen him pitch 1 Friday night game.
Game 1, literally.
But he struggled last year midweek as a starter, right? And he wound up being in the bullpen, and he kind of found a role in the bullpen. Obviously, he started a game late in the year when we needed to, and he pitched in the clutch, which was awesome, So we know he has that clutch gene in him, but I think from a Friday night starter, first and foremost, you got to have a guy that's going to throw strikes and go deep into the game, because you're setting the tone for the weekend, first and foremost. Mm-hmm. Second of all, you don't want to go to the bullpen in the 3rd inning like we did today. Now, everybody's going to be on short pitches, and the bullpen is already stretched out from spring camp and things like that, so it's okay. It's not that bad. We kind of knew he was probably only going to pitch 4 or 5 innings no matter what. But as a Friday night starter, you can't go 2 2/3. You just can't. And if you do that more than once, you're just not the Friday night starter. So I'm not saying Thatcher is not that guy. He has incredible stuff. But if you're going to nibble around the zone and you're not going to go right at guys and things like that, you're probably not going to be a Friday night starter, because we don't want to take the risk of having to use the bullpen early.
Right.
So you need a hoss on that first night. That's going to be 6-7 innings. He's going to eat up 100 pitches, 115 pitches probably. And so that's kind of what I'm looking for from a Friday night starter. Somebody that has mound presence, that's going to set the tone, that's going to look into that dugout and be like, come on, motherfuckers, let's go, and set the tone for the weekend. And he's going to get his team fired up. The pitchers are going to be confident. The hitters are going to be like, let's go. They don't want to be in the field for a long time.
Yeah.
They want to be up batting and that kind of stuff. So that's what I look for from a Friday night starter. And my prediction in the beginning of the year was Luke Holman's going to be our Friday night starter in the middle of the SEC when games really matter. So I'm really excited to see him pitch tomorrow night. And again, this is nothing against Thatcher Hurd. We would have not won a national championship without that guy last year. So I'm not saying anything bad about him at all. I'm excited to see Luke Holman pitch, and he was the Friday night guy for Bama last year. So I'm excited to see him in a Tiger uniform.
Okay, so what's the longest you went?
Pitches
at LSU.
Pitches or innings?
Both.
You want to know something crazy? I never threw a complete game in college, but I did throw 9 innings one time, and it was in the regional against Baylor in 2009 because we were the away team. So we were in the away dugout, and I got to pitch 9 innings. I think I pitched 115 pitches. Lila, come here. What are you doing? Look at her. Is Lila making an appearance over there?
You can't hear me.
Oh, boy.
She's not in the screen.
There we go.
This is our shop
Lila,
mascot.
This is the second time Lila has made a media appearance today, because she was on off the bench with Jacob Hester this morning, too, on 104.5. Is she grunting? Is she grunting?
Yeah.
That's something. Incredible. She's something. Lila, will you come sit over here with me, please?
Oh, yeah.
Lila, I'm trying to tell a story about the best game
Baylor,
that I ever pitched.
9 innings away team.
Yeah, we were the away team against Baylor, right? It was the game to set us to the championship game of the regional. It was probably the best game that I ever pitched in an LSU uniform, which is really funny because, story time, before the game,
that's what the show is.
I'm warming up in the bullpen, and I thought I tore my UCL.
No.
On my life. On my life. I actually told my agent this after, I remember going to TJ Ribs after with my agent, or at the time I was an advisor, and I was warming up in the bullpen, and I remember I always used to throw about 20 pitches, sit down, catch my breath, drink of water, and then I would pretend face a batter or two. And I remember sitting down on the bench and being like, how am I going to tell them that I think I tore my UCL? I have to figure this out somehow. I can't come out of the game. This is the regional. I have to do it. And I'm warming up, and I'm like, my elbow was throbbing, and I'm like, right on the inside, I'm like, I 100% tore my elbow. my agent told me that the first like 6 pitches were 96, 98, 97, 98, 90, and I never had an ounce of pain like at all when I got onto the mound, and my elbow never hurt the rest of the year. I don't know what was going on. It was the most wild thing ever, and I wound up striking out 14. I pitched 9 innings. I think I gave up 1 or 2 runs, and yeah, I gave up 1 run because it was 1-1 going into the 10th inning, and we scored a run, and we think we wound up winning 2-1. Honestly, Mattiot came in and pitched the 10th inning, the bottom of the 10th inning, got 3 outs, and we won 2-1 in 10 innings. And then the next day we faced Minnesota to go to the Super Regional, and Lewis Coleman absolutely slammed the door, and we beat the brakes off him. Yeah, it was awesome. Nice. So yeah, that was the best, and I think I wound up pitching like 115 pitches, 120 pitches, but there was no way I was coming out. Like I know I struck out the side in the 9th inning too. So yeah,
you know.
And even my boy Chris McGee, we always talk about this. We used to have a little like thing that was our joke. I did this crazy ass celebration afterwards. Like I kind of like flexed my arms all the way down and like screamed all the way at the top of my lungs and like all that stuff.
Picture?
Yeah, I had a picture of it. And then I came off the mound and I was getting fired up with all the guys. You know, they met me almost at the baseline or whatever. And Chris, he's a little shorter than me. Goes to like hit me in the chest, but like his hand slipped and it looked like he was choke holding me and like grabbed my jersey, and he has it framed in his house, and it's one of my favorite pictures ever. So maybe we can recover that picture. I could ask Chris if he could find it, but that's one of my best memories at LSU, and that was probably the longest I ever pitched. I think I pitched 8 innings against Auburn one year because I think I struck out like 15 in that game. It was an electric game for me. It was just one of those games at the box too, so it was awesome.
Sheesh.
I got a question for you here out of the chat. Is Mac Bingham Jacob Berry 2.0?
Say that again?
That's a great question. We're not there yet. We're holding on to pitching.
I'm just saying, it's in the
See
chat.
We're going to get there. Hold on.
And also, you brought up Zach Hess.
Wait.
So he's pitching.
Yeah, we're on pitching.
Yo, bro, as I was about to say, there's a lot of talk about Gage Jump in the chat, but before we get to him, the closer, Nate Aukenhausen deserves some flowers. Yeah.
Also,
in 3
I think
innings.
Nate looked great too, like physically. I think he lost a little weight. I think he looked good.
He
physically looked good too.
He had 6 Ks in 3 innings, 3 hits.
Yep. We got to limit the 2-out walks. We had 3 innings in a row that we had 2-out walks, and it was starting to piss me off. You ask about pitching. One of the things that is a staple, if I was ever a pitching coach, one of the things that I would say is we cannot have 2-out walks. If I was Nate Yeskie, yes, we gave up 11 hits. That the 2-out walks. We gave up 5 hits after those 2-out walks and gave up 3 runs when Thatcher did that. So 2-out walks got to stop, and that was, I think, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th innings in a row.
Yep.
But Aukenhausen looked great today overall, I thought, and obviously at a pivotal point in the game, he did what we needed him to do. So that was great.
Okay, now we can. I know you're a Gage Jump fan.
Obviously, number 23, baby, Jump Man.
They were loud.
That's his walkout song too.
Back. What did you see from him? What I'm
not gonna lie, he looked pretty electric, honestly. Like that fastball looked like, again, I don't have the analytics, but if I had to guess his vertical brace, which basically means like how much his ball rides up in the zone or stays up in the zone and his spin rate, I feel like he's probably got some pretty good spin rate. There were some swings and misses at the top of the zone. He was 95, 96 from the left side at the end of the game from a lefty, so I love that. He was wearing number 23. He looks super athletic out there, and I liked his arm action a lot. That was my first time watching him pitch. So he has a super quick, short arm for the lefty. It's a little jabby, but I think he hides the ball really well. So again, it was 1 inning, 3 batters, but 95, 96 looked pretty electric to me, and I'm excited to see him develop. I think he's coming off Tommy John. I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure David Folse knows in the chat.
David,
what do you know? I think Gage is coming off some Tommy John potentially.
We'll wait for the answer.
Yeah, my YouTube is taking a second to load here. So,
Joe, you had a thought on Gage Jump, and
yeah, I mean, just look, trying not to get ahead of myself here, but watching that last inning, just his presence on the mound, how he went out there and dominated, reminded me a lot of Zach Hess.
I'm not gonna lie, I love that comp. Obviously, Zach was a taller righty because Gage didn't look super tall, but I don't know. But that's what you're looking for at the end of the game. You like that mound presence, you want that electric arm, that kind of stuff. So
I mean, you've got a lefty slinging 96.
95, 96. I'll take that all day. So And again, he was pitching at the top of the zone, which makes me think he's got some really good vertical break, which means he's gonna get a lot of swings and misses, and that's what you want from a closer because when the bases are loaded and there's one out and you need somebody to get 2 outs in the 8th inning and then go into the 9th, right? You want punchies. Yeah. You don't want pop-ups, even though that ball might get you some pop-ups, but you don't want sac flies. You don't want homers, balls in the gap. You want swings and misses. And if he has that ability to get swings and misses, that's what we're looking for from our closer.
David Foles said, he's 16 months off of Tommy John, but apparently had back spasms the last 2 weeks.
So maybe that's why he's coming out the pen too.
That's why he is.
I was anxious. And also pitching at Alex Box Stadium is no joke. So these kids that are transferring from Xavier, we saw Loer, I think is how you say his name, right? He's coming from Xavier. Then you got Gage from UCLA. Yeah. So these guys are coming from different programs. I pitched at UCLA. There's about 4,000, 5,000 maximum seats there, and that I don't think they fill it up because there's a lot of things to do in LA, and people aren't really going to college baseball games as much. Yeah. So again, pitching in front of 13,000, even when it's 2:00 in the afternoon, and Loer was thrown right in the mix. He came in right after Hurd, right? So we're going to see these guys and their temperaments and their mound presence and that kind of stuff. So I loved Gage Jump's mound's presence. I thought he handled himself really well, and it was exciting to watch him pitch.
How do you
Carl
feel?
Dunn, shout out. Let's go.
Carl.
Lindsay Mitchell,
Carl.
what's going on? Thank you guys for jumping in here. This is awesome.
Yeah, y'all. If y'all have questions, throw them in the chat.
Yeah, I'm looking through some of our questions and stuff like that. But again, guys, as we progress with this too, we're going to start giving some giveaways. So people that are participating in the chat, we are going to be sending you guys some stuff, a la this St. Roch Vodka hat. We have a bunch of them to give away. We have some Paul Skeens cards in the shop that we are going to be giving away. So the more that you guys participate, the more we're just going to randomly say, hey, look, man, you got a Paul Skeens rookie card coming your way. Send us your address. So Good stuff. Obviously, I own a collectible shop here in Baton Rouge, and that's where we do this stuff from sometimes. So we appreciate all the participation.
For sure. All right, we can kick it over now, Joe. The question that you voiced earlier, what was it? What did the chat say?
It was a comparison. They said, is Mac Bingham Jacob Berry 2.0?
Mac Bingham. Let's look at what he did today.
I'm not going to lie. Maybe they're comping because they both came from Arizona, but I was never a Jacob Berry fan. So I'm not hating on Jacob Berry. Obviously, 6th overall pick, but I don't think he was a 6th overall pick. That's just, I've said that from day one. So I don't know. Is Mac going to be a 6th overall pick also? I don't think so. So
2 hits, 2 RBI today.
Yeah, he had a big double. He did. He had a big double, and I think he came from Arizona, right? This is his 5th year and stuff. So again, Jacob Berry was a junior that played on Team USA and got drafted 6th overall. So I don't think Mac projects like that. But also, let's not get too excited about Jacob Berry, in my opinion. So
fair.
Wow.
We did.
The guy played here for 1 year. You know what I'm saying?
He
He came from Arizona, but I just was never wowed. And when he got picked 6th overall, I was like, damn, this must be a weak draft. And again, I'm not ragging on the kid. I just didn't think. I'm just being real with my assessment. I'm not. Yeah. That's all.
That's what we're here to do, though. No, yeah, I know. That's what we're here to do. We're airing it out. But we did see some good stuff from Mac Bingham today.
Barry Bat, Anthony. What does that mean, David? Barry Bat.
The chat. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm reading the chat. I like reading the chat. That's why I'm on my phone.
I know you
here.
always read the chat right in the middle of what I'm saying.
Sorry.
Crazy. Josh Pearson had a nice little triple. Paxton Kling did some good stuff. Of course, you saw the Jared Jones bomb right at the beginning, and Hayden Travinski lock it in. So some good stuff overall. Let's see. How many team strikeouts?
Yeah, his bat, David, I know. I don't think it's 6th overall. That's what I'm saying. And that's why he's probably not in the big leagues yet. I'm just saying. If he was 6th overall, he would have been in the big leagues already probably.
Oh, David's chatting.
Yeah, I'm talking to David.
I was so lost just now.
Sorry. You don't have the chat up?
I do, but I'm switching back and forth between stats, the doc, and the chat. I'm missing some of it.
How about Jake Brown getting on base with his first collegiate pitch? Seeing the first pitch base hit.
I gotta say, David Foles did call that, and I've been keeping some of his cards here at the shop because, again, I saw some film, but David's our expert on recruiting and that kind of stuff, and he was really high on Jake Brown. I had it in my notes today from the game. I thought it was interesting that Jay had him batting 2nd in front of Tommy, right? So one of my things that we talked about in a preview before the game, right? He was batting in front of Tommy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The way you looked at me, I was like, damn. What the,
No.
Yeah.
I have
it in my
notes
right here. That I thought that was a big ask of a freshman, a true freshman coming in that is hyped up, and you're batting in front of Tommy White. So you're going to get some pitches to hit. You got to be on base, that kind of stuff. So I think that's really cool. One of the things that we said this year was who is going to protect Tommy White, behind him, in front of him. And so I'm excited to see him. And that's what everything, again, I was up in the suites today talking to some people, and there was a lot of chatter about Jake Brown. So I'm excited. I think, obviously he's a pitcher too. So I'm excited to see him throw that thing on the mound.
Thoughts on the lineup overall? So let me run through it. Michael Braswell led off. Jake Brown, Tommy White, Hayden Travinski, Josh Pearson, Jared Jones, Mac Bingham, Paxton Kling, Alex Milazzo was catching, but
I agree, Lindsay. Sorry. Lindsay said Brown is legit. Looks like he belongs. And David, yes, I know you did buy some Jake Brown stuff. And Monster Malam, that's how you say it, Malam?
I need to get in the chat. Shit.
That's what the whole point is
I'm
of Running It
trying.
Live, is that we're answering the people in the chat. You're acting like I'm crazy.
Well, the thing is, you don't read what they say. You just respond to them, so I don't know what they say.
Yeah, because they're all in the chat seeing it. Like, that's why I don't have to repeat it. Like, that's the point of the chat.
Read, Abby. It's right in front of you.
Yeah.
Got it. But thoughts on the lineup? Where do we think there might be some changes? Again, game one,
Well, David and I did predict 7 out of the 9, so no big deal. But David's pretty good at what he does in his job, so I can't
Who'd y'all miss?
Who'd
y'all miss? Y'all got 7 out of 9.
Yeah, David, who did we miss? I'm trying to think who we missed.
I think you had 8 of the lineup because
8?
y'all didn't have Hurd starting on the mound.
That's right.
And then y'all
Who's second?
Y'all had Neal over Milazzo.
That's right. Yeah.
Wait, when did y'all make these predictions?
Him and I went to a fall practice and we made some predictions and we streamed it live.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, I remember.
Unfortunately, David's out of town, so we didn't get a chance to do a podcast before the season, but he will be back, and we will do an LSU baseball recap and continue to break this down on my show, Up and In. But yeah, we talked about it. Look, there he goes. He's going on a cruise ship in Mexico. Peace out, y'all. David, you're the man, dude. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah, and Lindsay, he does belong. Jake Brown I'm really excited about that kid. I really am. And again, I want to see him pitch. But do you know who I'm talking about? Monster Malam. He is 5'5", 5'6", something like that. He's busted out of his pants. The dude is like a little muscle. And I went to the game on Sunday. You guys were out of town, but I went to the scrimmage with Paul Maneri, and we sat and we were kind of breaking down. He was giving me some background on some of these guys, and he was like, "Yeah, they call him Monster." And then on cue, dude hits an Oppo taco, just like lefty, just like into the bleachers, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, all right."
That's where that comes from.
So that's what David was talking about, and yeah, I'm excited to see him. I'm sure he'll get some action the next couple days too.
Little freshman, huh?
Freshman, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Fielding. Braswell at short.
I didn't really, honestly, again, I don't want to rag, but
you're not ragging.
On Sunday,
this is a recap show. We
Okay.
share opinions and stories and
on
go.
Sunday, Coach Maneri and I were sitting there. Braswell's got a little bit of a slow bat. I'm a little nervous about him staying in the lineup long term, unless he can figure out to create.
He hit like what, 250 last year?
He doesn't have a strong bat, so he better flash the leather. That's what I'm saying. He better pick it at short.
So explain to me then why he's lead off, and if that's a stupid question, it's a stupid question. But
and what's his on base percentage?
That's probably I would have to check that out, but I would imagine he gets on base.
Yeah.
So he probably sees the ball well, like you know what I'm saying. He knows the strike zone really well. He can probably control the bat well. So we did see him sacrifice today,
which we didn't see a lot of last year at all.
Correct. So and Jay did say that in the media that this is going to be a completely different team. Don't expect the big 3-run homers and things like that. We're not going to mash like we did. We're going to play small ball. We're going to hit and run. We're going to they safety squeezed on Sunday when I was there too. So again, I would assume Braswell can really control the bat, which means that, you know, when the Paxton Kling is batting 8, right, I think today or something like that. When he gets on base, he's got some wheels. Milazzo, we're probably not going to assume is going to be on base that much, but I'm sure he can get bunts down. And then Braswell, if he can do hit and runs and move guys over, that's probably what he's good at. And we're not going to expect much production from him, you know, gap to gap and hits, especially if he bat 250 last year. But I'm sure he picks it pretty well at short. I've only seen him a few times, you know, in practice and things like that. And I didn't notice too many plays today. But
no, he didn't get too much action. Okay, you said you were sitting with Maneri on Sunday.
Yeah.
Can you share any thoughts he had on the team? That won't get you in trouble.
No.
Like don't snitch on him.
No. Coach Maneri is very high on these guys, and obviously coaches, you know, he has personal relationships with a lot of these guys because he was part of their recruiting, you know, journey and things like that. Him and Nolan Kane were big on getting some of these guys here. But obviously Jay and his crew and Josh have retained these guys, and with the portal and all these different things, Jay was just as active recruiting. So I don't want to take anything away from Jay and Josh and the incredible, system that they're building here and the team and the program that they're building here. But no, Coach was just very high on some of these guys and was just giving me a lot of background, more on where they came from, how he recruited them, when they committed, things like that. So it was really cool for me to get, because like there's so many new names that I was like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Who's this guy? And he really only didn't know one or two guys. So for the most part, Coach is still very in tune, and he loves LSU baseball. He really does. And I'm happy that every year that goes on, he's getting further and further away from the program because, there's an emotional tie to guys like Dylan Cruz and Trey Morgan and things like that, and he was part of that championship team last year. And Jay did an incredible job giving Coach Maneri a ring and letting him be part of that championship team. Coach was at the pregame or the preseason dinner at the Guitros and things like that. So Coach is still very much involved with the program, he and the athletic department and stuff. So shout out to P Money. He's the man.
P Money.
P Money. That's his little nickname in our group. Yeah, he knows that.
Wait, did y'all call him that?
We never call him to his face.
Okay, but he knows.
Because that's a respect thing. Yeah. I think he knows now. But
again,
I would never call him to his face.
Where did that nickname come from? Okay, time out. We are recapping, but this is also a show kind of airing out some stories about LSU baseball beyond the box, right?
Yep.
That's the whole premise.
Yeah.
Where did that nickname come from?
I think it was just, when you play sports, you talk about your coach, you have little things. We make fun of his voice too. He's got a high pitched voice. Hey, come over here, come on. Little things like that. So we make, and it's all love. Coach knows that. He's been on this. We started Beyond the Box with Coach. It was Beyond the Box with Paul Maneri. So Coach knows we have little jokes and stuff. And I think that's part of being a good coach is, if not, and people don't admire you and make little fun of things, and I think that's the way it is everywhere you go. Bosses, coaches, parents and stuff like that, right? Like we all have little things that we make fun of people, but we know that it was all out of love and respect for Coach Maneri. All of us take part in a lot of his things, and when he asked us to do things, Coach Maneri called me on Saturday night and was like, "Hey, Ant, what are you doing? I hadn't talked to you. I'm thinking about you, would you want to go to the scrimmage with me on Sunday?"
That's precious.
Yeah. So again, and I dropped everything that I did. I was at the shop. I had a couple people working here, and I went over and sat with them for an hour and a half, and it was awesome. So I love Coach Maneri. I'm indebted to him. He's like a second father to me. And funny story, my freshman year, I'm from New Jersey, right? I'm 1,800 miles away from home. And I had a little bit of homesickness at Thanksgiving time. I will say for the rest of my life, I never got homesick, but I think it had something to do with this moment. I remember calling my parents and saying, I want to come home for Thanksgiving. My mom was like, yes, of course. Like, we'll book the flights, blah, blah, blah. 5 minutes later, my dad calls me back and he goes, hey, bud, you're staying down there for Thanksgiving. And I was like, what? Mom just told me I could come home. And he's like, no, you're going to stay down there. You made a decision to go to school and you got to train and you only have 2 days off and the flights are kind of expensive and it doesn't really make sense for you to come up here. So find someone to go, have Thanksgiving with and you'll be fine. And I remember going into my laundry room and crying. I was sad. I was a kid, DJ LeMay, luckily DJ LeMay, he was from Michigan. He was staying as well. Micah Gibbs was from Texas. He stayed as well. And Coach Maneri had us over for Thanksgiving dinner. And so little things like that. I remember speeding down Highland because we were late and I had a Dodge pickup truck and I'm going down Highland 70 miles an hour, probably not safe, but there was nobody on campus and we were running late to Thanksgiving dinner. So I'll always remember that. We were trying to bring some desserts, some pumpkin pies because we couldn't buy alcohol at 18 years old and stuff.
Y'all just went store-bought?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We didn't know any better. We were 18
no
years old.
No way were y'all cooking.
My parents gave me $250 a month to spend. Yeah. That's what I had to spend in college. So, and they made me pay for half of my scholarship that I didn't get. So, yeah. I had financial responsibilities. I couldn't buy too much.
Props to your parents.
Yeah, no, they were great. No, this is good stuff. Yeah.
Okay, we talked about Maneri's nickname. Did you have a nickname?
At LSU?
None?
I don't think so. Not to my,
Not to your face.
They might have said some stuff behind my back. Yeah, not that I know of. Yeah. No, but I think people called me AR, Naudo.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what they called me at LSU.
What, you have some
In pro ball, I had different names. I think it was a lot of people called me Nado, Nado.
Interesting.
Ranaudo, so yeah. I think people called me that.
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know. You were looking at me like I was crazy.
I was processing.
Yeah. I think a lot of people call me AR. That one was good too. But
makes sense.
Close friends called me Ant. Really only family calls me Ant. So, yeah.
P-Money.
And New Jersey people. I don't know what it is. People from New Jersey call Anthony's Ant a lot.
That's common?
Yeah, and Anthony's more of a common name in Jersey. A lot of Italians people.
Yeah.
So.
All right, back to the baseball. We got off track, but that's okay. They play Monday. as well.
Yeah.
Did y'all ever do like
Do they play Sunday too? So they play 4 games this weekend?
today, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday?
Yeah, Jay Johnson's doing things a little differently. This is Jay's 3rd year, obviously. And, you know, I mean, one of the biggest things, like we said, is the day game for opening day. He does like that. He said it in the media stuff on Wednesday. And I think there's 4 teams here this weekend, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure there's 4 teams here, so that's why we're going to play all 4, I think. Again, that's what I think he did last year. It's like a mini tournament type thing where everybody plays everybody. It's not like, I don't know if they're playing VMI tomorrow. Are they playing VMI?
It is.
Tomorrow is Central Michigan.
Yeah, see, exactly. So that's
and
what
then
it's.
Sunday.
So like my freshman year, we opened up against Indiana. We played Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we played Indiana. They came here just like a normal weekend, you know. My sophomore year, we played Villanova. My junior year.
So it's just 2 teams here. So it's VMI today, Central Arkansas, not Michigan tomorrow.
Yeah, and then VMI Sunday, Central Arkansas Monday.
Okay, but still, that's what I mean. It's not a traditional 3-game
series,
with one team, you know, that kind of stuff. So I think Jay likes doing that. I don't really know the reason behind it. That would be an interesting thing to ask him why he wants to do that. So, but yeah, it's cool. I think it's something different, and it gives us some baseball on Monday when baseball's a pretty slow day in college baseball. So, yeah.
All right, this is so out of pocket. Game 1. 1 win on the season. Give me your predictions. Record predictions.
Oh.
Way too early record predictions. Go.
Wait, before we do that, can I?
Sure.
You mentioned how Jay Johnson said we were going to be Anthony. We're going to be an entirely different team, not to expect the 3-run home runs and all that kind of stuff. We're going to lay down some bunts. I will say the first 3 runs of the season came off a Jared Jones 3-run homer.
You had 2 bombs in the season opener.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. It was a 3-run homer. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I think 3-run homers are going to happen this year, Joe, even though he said that they're not. I think it's going to happen. But I think, like I said, I think he was saying don't expect that and don't.
Well, because we've been spoiled with the bombs the past couple years and the heavy hitters, and that's just not the identity of this team this year.
Yeah. Well, look, I do think we have a couple guys that. There's a couple guys who could give you a 20 home run season. I'm not saying I expect that at all, but I think you could potentially get that out of a Jared Jones or out of a Hayden Travinski. So then
I'm gonna be honest. If Jared
Tommy
Jones,
White,
if Jared Jones doesn't hit 20 home runs this year, I think it's a disappointing year. I think he should hit 20 home runs this year. Yeah. I mean, he's on pace for it. He hit one on game 1, and yeah, you kind of expect that from Tommy. And a lot of the chatter this year. From fall and spring camp was Hayden Travinski is not just the guy that hit 10 homers and 100 at-bats last year and got lucky and ran into some balls. He's legit. He's wearing number 8. I think he's one of our guys. And hit one today. So
I think he's kind of transformed into that role.
I think so too.
He was handed it and then became that.
Yep.
So
yeah. Shout out Cass in Montgomery. Look at him. See, he knows. PM.
PM.
I think that stands for P money, but I'm sure it just means his initials.
It's pulmonary, but Carl called him Money.
Yeah.
So
love coach.
Also, Carl said Central Arkansas and VMI are playing each other.
Yeah, that's where it goes. Yeah, it's like it's a little tournament. That's what I'm saying. It's almost like a little round robin. If you went to baseball and softball tournaments or whatever, there's round robins. That's kind of like what this is. There's no winner of the weekend unless LSU goes 4-0, but
yeah.
And then we're the champs.
I expect that.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
I think we all do.
The whole LSU fan base expects this year's team to go undefeated and win another national championship.
Just like Joe thinks that the Saints are never going to lose, but
I mean they won't.
Yeah, they only lost 10 times this year, but
we're not going there.
Yeah, you're right.
We're not going there. I'm out on that. Ray, you are getting the home run production from the replacements of Dylan Cruz, BJ.
Okay, and again, we're not trying to replace those guys.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we're not going to replace those guys. So if you're a fan and you're thinking we're gonna, I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. That's not going to happen. But I think the Paxton Klings of the world, if he can give us some solid production and hit 15, 20 doubles this year, I think we're going to be in great shape. And that guy's, I don't know. And I think somebody wrote in here too, they would like to see Pearson leading off. I think that happens sooner than later.
Yeah. Maybe it was Carl.
Yeah, I'm trying to think it was
somebody
Carl.
said something about Braswell eventually not being leadoff guy.
Most players hit by pitch.
I like that question. Early record prediction for the most players hit by pitch. How many players got hit today?
7.
7?
7 freaking.
There was 5 in the 6th inning.
Yeah, and except for that bunt, it was 5 in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that beeping? Yeah, I don't know what that beeping noise is.
Yeah, you can't hear it on the headphones.
Okay, that's good.
Oh, we're safe.
Yeah.
One time there was a cricket in here, and it was It was not shutting up.
Really?
Yeah. I found it after the show and put it in the turtle tank.
Tommy, it's probably the refrigerator. Go make sure the refrigerator's closed. There's the button.
We
I
are
think
in a
they got it,
functioning
That's a great call.
shop.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely the
It's the refrigerator. Yeah.
It was the fridge.
Told you.
It was
well, when
the
it was here
fridge.
before, we had, we would give complimentary drinks away and stuff like that, and that had happened before. Sometimes the wire gets kind of caught.
Okay, y'all completely avoided my question.
Yeah, I know, because
Yeah.
they
It's
say there's
so
no
out of
dumb
pocket.
questions. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. You took a shot at my age a couple times. Like it's
Yeah,
it's
right
fair.
off. As soon as we started this new show, we just launched a new show, and the first thing I do is take a shot at Anthony. So
Fine. Yeah, I'm just
how it
being
goes.
here, taking my time to be on your show, but it's okay. I'll wear it. Predictions. I don't even honestly.
if you don't even know, okay,
I don't have a prediction.
fine.
I can't give an educated prediction.
Okay, then
I think we're gonna have struggles this year. That's what I think. I don't think we're gonna be number 4 right now, or 3 in the country.
yeah, we're plus 750 to
Right, we're the second favorite, I think, right now.
behind Wake Forest.
Yeah, behind Wake Forest. I think we're gonna have struggles, and I'm not saying we are going to have a bad year, but I think there's going to be ups and downs. And the only reason I'm saying that is in 2010, after 2009, you lose main pieces. You're riding a little high, and what I talked about this with Jock Doucette on the news this morning too, right? There's a target on your back when you're LSU baseball.
Yeah.
And then there's a target on your back when you win the 2023 national championship too.
Yeah.
Everybody's coming in here. You're getting their best version. You saw a VMI doing it today. They were warming up one of their closers in the 4th inning when they had that lead. And I was like, man, they're going to go to this guy already. You could tell he was one of their dudes and stuff like that. He wound up coming in later in the game. But that's what you're going to get. If they have a chance to beat the former national champion, a team like VMI or other teams that come from all over the country, that's what they're looking forward to.
For
They have this
sure.
game circled on their calendar. So there is going to be ups and downs. There's going to be guys filling in new roles and replacing old guys and things like that. We're going to mess around with the lineup. And I said this all last year too. The opening day lineup never looks like the last day of the year lineup. So there's going to be changes. Like, it's just going to happen that way. And there's going to be ups and downs. So I think I predict there's going to be a little struggle at some point during this season. That's about what I can guess. But I do think we're going to host a
I
regional.
completely agree with
I think
you.
we're going to be a national seed at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I
To
think
me,
we're-
specifically against Louisiana teams.
Say that again?
To me, specifically against Louisiana teams.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, yeah.
I think I could see us, and I think we're really good. Like somebody asked me earlier today, do I think we're a team that can win the national championship? Do I think so? Do I think we can? Yeah, but I think super regionals is a fair expectation.
Yeah.
But I'd also think we could lose 3 regular season, like midweek games to Louisiana teams.
Yep.
Yes.
Also, and again, going to a super regional is a fair expectation. I think honestly, if we are a national seed, I think that's a win for this year.
100%.
Yeah. Where I'm not saying if you lose in a regional, I'm going to be pumped, but I'm saying if we lose in a regional, I could see that. Again,
Yeah.
where there's a lot of pressure, and that's when those teams are going to be so pumped to come here to be like, let's knock off the national championship. Teams like from Michigan and from California,
That little
or
extra.
they got that little extra like motivation to do that, right? We had to go travel to UCLA and play against Garrett Cole and Trevor Bauer my junior year. That was really hard to do. Like, we
Sheesh.
didn't beat them. Yeah, so it was hard. Yeah.
What are some names of like big names you threw against in college? I know you have quite the story for pro ball, but
One of my favorite games was James Paxton and I went head to head. Kentucky came here my sophomore year. I think this is what kind of put me on the map for like the draft stuff, because Paxton is a 6'7" lefty, and he was throwing 97, 98, and all the scouts were there to see him. And I came out, struck out the side the first inning. I'm sitting 97, 98, and everybody was like, I remember my agent being like, oh, everybody was like, this kid should be in the draft this year. Like, I remember that, and again, this is going to sound arrogant, but I remember my advisor being like, hey, we had scouts telling us that if you were in the draft this year, you'd be a top 10 pick. Just from that game. That kind of put me on the map. So Paxton and I went head to head. I think I struck out the first 3 guys. He struck out the first 3 guys. I think I struck out 2 of the next 3. He struck out the side the next. It was like we were mowing them up and down. It was awesome. Like, the atmosphere was electric. So that was one of my favorite ones. Drew Pomerantz was a big-time major leaguer, and he wound up being 5th overall my junior year, and him and I went head-to-head twice, my sophomore and junior year. Funny thing, actually, my junior year, we were supposed to both be top 5 picks, and we were at Ole Miss. The Friday night gets rained out, so Saturday we have to play a doubleheader. I am not exaggerating. I'm not lying, no exaggeration. Wind was blowing out 45 miles an hour. He walked 11 guys in 3 innings, because when I'm telling you, you couldn't throw a changeup, you couldn't throw the curveball wouldn't spin. I gave up 6 homers in 3 innings. And I'm telling you, I'm not even kidding. There was a video. We looked at it and laughed the next day because that's all you could do. A dude hit a ball. He thought he fouled it off. He turned and was like hitting his cleats because he thought it was a foul ball out of play, and it went out of the park. And I remember looking in the dugout and being like, what do I do? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I have no idea. So it was really funny that game was so hyped up, and it was a huge letdown. Neither one of us pitched past the fourth inning. So that was really interesting. And then I think the one against Trevor Bauer at UCLA was really cool too.
Sick, yeah.
And Trevor Bauer is obviously, we know, a little crazy, and he's got some things going on. But in college, he was very, very unique then. He was doing things that no one else was doing.
I remember you talking about this on Bets and Breaks.
Yeah, and he
was like ahead of his time in the way he was training.
Way ahead of his time. Yep, way ahead of his time. But him and I went head to head against each other. We were pitching on that game, the same game in the regional. And I remember, so I'm on the left field line where our team is warming up, and there's a guy long tossing foul post to foul pole. And in my head, I'm like, man, this is a weird time for this guy to be getting in work. I'm thinking he's like a midweek starter, or a guy that like needs a long toss. He's a starter, and this is his long toss day, right? And I'm like, why the fuck is this guy like warming up right next to me right now? And I start my little my short toss, and I go 120 feet, and then I come back in, throw my flat ground, and then this dude looks at me and goes, hey man, good luck today. And I was like, thanks, bro. You too, I guess. Like, I thought he was not pitching. And then I walked to my pitching coach. He was like pissed. He was like, what did he say to you? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I don't know. He was the guy that was long tossing. He goes, that's Bauer. That's who's pitching against us tonight. The man long toss, foul pole to foul pole, the whole time that I threw 60 feet, and 120 and came back in. It was the most wild thing. And then during the game, he's in the bullpen grunting, and like he's throwing bullpens in between his innings. So like I would go out to the mound and I could hear him grunting in the bullpen pitching, and he was doing all kinds of workouts like in between innings. So Trevor Bauer has always been a little bit of a unique character, and that's always my like funny Trevor Bauer story. Yeah, it's interesting.
I'm gonna be honest, that doesn't surprise me from him. Like, I would have expected that. I like this. I like this little storytelling.
That place was so
sick.
bad at UCLA, Carl, right? That's what I said. I was like, you think UCLA and their facilities, they had wooden bleachers.
Oh, hell no.
They had wooden bleachers, right, Carl?
No.
Like, I'm pretty sure, yeah, Carl was like, that place was so bad, yeah.
No shot they still have wooden bleachers.
Yeah, I don't
No
think
way.
so anymore, but that was in 2009. Yeah.
Carl
Or
also
2010.
said the beginning of SEC schedule is brutal. We're state, Mississippi State, Florida, Arkansas.
I think we play Vandy this year, too.
Yeah.
So it's Mississippi State off rip. There towards the bottom of the SEC, but look, still it's opening weekend of SEC. So you get Mississippi State, and then Florida, Arkansas, Vandy, Tennessee.
That's tough.
The four.
Where are where's
State, Mississippi State's there. Florida's here. That'll be fun.
That's gonna be jumping.
Are they winning? And then Arkansas's in Arkansas.
Florida's
the game up.
Florida's down 7-4 in the top of the fifth right now.
Wow.
To St.
Yeesh.
John's.
They're gonna come back and win that game, I think. But
Again, it's opening day. And
Yeah.
everybody's figuring shit out. Carl also said that the tournament in Houston is going to be a measuring stick. So that's what, the first weekend of March, huh? Texas, UL, Texas State.
Louisville's not playing in that one.
Oh, wrong one. No.
you don't get it.
Oh
That's
my
ULL.
God. The
I was
ongoing
waiting for
freaking
it.
joke.
I was
okay?
waiting for it.
ULL, if you're from Louisiana, Joe has a thing against calling the University of Louisiana at Lafayette UL.
Yeah.
He has called me out for it on like 6 different shows. Whatever, it's shorter.
Yeah.
Okay?
If you want to be
Oh my
called
God.
Louisiana, be the best program in Louisiana at something, anything. That's how I feel.
Joe does not like. Do not call.
I mean,
ULL,
this
UL.
goes back. The first time he called me out for it was like freaking October, September maybe.
Joe,
Let it go.
Joe
It's
will
just-
really tell us
it's-
how he feels.
Whatever.
I love it.
So yeah, in Minute Maid, Texas, ULL.
That's a
and
really
Texas
cool tournament.
State.
Yeah, it is really cool nowadays that they do that. LSU
Measuring
lost
stick?
to Iowa last year. Remember that? Iowa had some dude that was throwing like 100, but he was like crazy wild, and they couldn't like get anything going because he would throw one under their chins at 100, then dot up at 100 down and away. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That was yeah. He said it's USL to me, Carl. God, because it was
Period.
what was it before ULL?
I'm assuming Southern Louisiana.
USL.
Yeah,
What does that stand for?
he doesn't listen. Good.
What does it stand for? Southern?
What does it
Louisiana?
stand for?
Yeah. One of
The guy from New Jersey knew that?
Now here's the thing,
I know
right?
you don't know.
I just said it. Was it USL?
You know, it was something.
Southern
Carl, help
Louisiana?
us out here.
It was
Southern
never-
Louisiana.
I'll tell you what, it was never LSU. So
I mean, okay.
They aren't UL. Look at it. Ray thinks so too.
Okay, so turning around to tomorrow, we talked about Luke Holman. He's throwing. Anybody else in the pitching staff you're looking?
Yeah, I want to see Jake Brown pitch, so I'm excited.
You did talk
Also,
about him today.
Cam Johnson, right, the 6'5" kid, that's the number one freshman, lefty from, I think Florida is where he's from. Yeah, so I'm anxious to see those three guys. I don't know if we'll see them this weekend because maybe Cam pitches midweek. I don't know. Maybe Jake does pitch midweek too. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm anxious to see those guys. Luke Holman to me though is, again, my prediction is when we start SEC play, he's our Friday night starter. So I'm anxious to see how he fills up the zone because he led the league in WHIP last year, which is walks plus hits divided by innings pitched. So it basically tells you how many base runners a guy is averaging per inning. And as a starting pitcher, that's a big metric. You know, you want to limit walks and hits, obviously. So if you walk a lot of guys, you want to make sure you don't give up hits. And if you give up hits, you want to make sure you are not walking guys. So he kept it around 1. He led the league last year. Under 1 is like elite. And I think he was like 1.01 and led the SEC. And the SEC, that's really good. So yeah. I'm anxious to see him. He fills up the zone, that means. And I'm anxious to see if he added anything to his velocity. He's a bigger dude, so he might be a good draft guy too. Maybe getting under, Yeski and some of the LSU facilities and some of the tools that we have that maybe Bama doesn't have. I'm anxious to see if that comes to fruition and he makes some major jumps in development too. So,
Speaking of Yeski, Nate Yeski, the pitching coach, he has agreed to, God willing, their schedule is incredibly busy, especially following opening weekend, but he will be making an appearance on Anthony's podcast, The Up and In Show. That'll release on Friday this week. So that'll be really cool, especially you'll get to talk to him right after opening weekend. And Mr. Ben McDonald told us he's a great guy. So super excited for that. Y'all be sure to keep an eye out for that.
I've met Nate a couple times. He's a sharp dude, and he seems pretty down to earth too. So I'm excited to sit on the purple couch with him and chop it up a little bit.
He's been super cool with me. I've been bugging him. I mean, I cannot believe I've been texting him all week leading up to opening
you
weekend.
trying to get a
Hey, Mr. Nate, can you do this?
You were asking
you
for
kidding?
a podcast yesterday before opening day today, and Jay shut that shit down. He was like, "Hey, let's not do it."
Jay literally told Nate, "Not this week. You can go next week." That's fine. I have to shoot my shot.
I didn't even think he was gonna say
Mr. Ben told me to text him.
No,
and
I know,
like, okay.
and he was down to do content too because
Yeah.
we're gonna do some pitch recognition stuff to try to educate you a little bit too.
I
Right?
asked. I want to know how to be able to spot pitches and when you would throw certain things, and I want to learn. And I figured if I'm going to learn, I might as well. Y'all can learn with me. So Anthony and Mr. Ben McDonald, who does the play-by-play, you guys know Ben McDonald, and hopefully Nate Yeski, we're gonna have you throw a bullpen.
I've been feeling good.
Ooh, he's gonna throw a
I've been
bullpen.
feeling good.
And
I
hopefully
spun some breaking balls the other day too, just in case Nate's like, "Hey, try this curveball." We'll see. Hopefully, I don't blow my elbow out, but.
You're about to have a highlight reel.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna
If
be
I'm
a
throwing
pitching
like
lesson for me and a
97.
highlight reel for you.
Hopefully, I'm throwing like 97, and somebody calls me like, "You know what? Why don't you come
We
to spring
saw
training?"
the Valley Vision interview.
That would be
we have
epic.
a spot.
That would
if
be
you want
epic.
it.
That would be epic. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get this done. But we've got some cool content coming at y'all.
Yep.
So make sure you subscribe, like this, share this. I'm
Wait,
not
we gotta-
wrapping up. I'm
Okay,
just
yeah, I
letting
was gonna
people
say,
know. I'm
we got
just
some
letting
questions.
people know. Yeah, you want to go ahead, take over the chat king over here.
If all goes the way we want, how long will
Luke Coleman pitch.
Luke Coleman pitch 60 pitches?
or less.
No, I think we see 75. I think we
Tomorrow?
see so most of the time you're building up in the spring. At least this is, again, Jay might do things differently, but Jay also kind of leans more on West Coast ball, like lets pitchers go a little longer usually. So I would assume that Luke's got 75 pitches tomorrow minimum. depending on what he did in spring ball, if he pitched 4 or 5 innings already in spring ball, we might see him up to 90. Just depends on coach's philosophy. But Maneri usually capped us at 75. If we were cruising, he might have let us go to 80, 85, maybe 90 in the 5th inning. But again, if you're at 90 through, what is that, 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, yes. So if you're at 90 through 5, you're kind of in the high pitch count. So I don't think we see him go 6, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes 5 and 75, 80 pitches tomorrow for sure.
Wouldn't this be an ideal weekend to kind of keep that lower? And if I sound obvious, just let me go.
No, I don't think
making
so.
connections here because you want to see more of the pitching staff.
Yeah, but also this is, again, we need a Friday night starter, and our Friday night starter went 2 2/3 tonight. So I wouldn't be surprised if Luke goes out there and if he's throwing the ball well. He was a Friday night starter already last year, which means that he probably, I don't know the numbers, but I'm sure he threw 80 plus innings, 100 innings last year, maybe, probably not 100, but 80 plus innings, which means that he's a dude. He's ready to go out there and pitch 5 or 6 innings, and depending on how much they built up, and that's where I'm a little undereducated. I didn't see how many starts he had in the spring, but if he's already had a 4-inning outing, I don't think there's a case that we don't see him go 5 if he's pitching well. So I think most starting pitchers go 5 innings opening weekend. And again, Jay, if he's cruising, maybe lets him go 6 and 90. We'll see. So, and especially that the starter only went 2 2/3 today. Luke's got to pitch decent tomorrow. Like, doesn't matter how deep you are, you don't want to use too many arms Friday and Saturday.
Honestly,
and we're playing an extra game Monday too.
Oh yeah.
So he's got to eat some innings and pitches. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Okay, so is it if Luke goes off tomorrow and shoves, is it like if you were in charge? Is it an immediate change, or is it, no, we're going to let it ride, see if Thatcher can throw again on Friday and let it go?
Again, I haven't talked to Jay.
I'm asking what you would do.
Oh, what I would do?
Yeah, we don't know what Jay's going to do. We'll find out.
I like Thatcher out of the bullpen. I do. I just think his stuff plays better. He's more of a 2-pitch pitcher for me. And I like the way his fastball and curveball or slurve, whatever, or sweeper, whatever he calls it. I like how those complement each other, and 2 or 3 times through the lineup, I think is scary for Thatcher, especially if he nibbles and he runs his pitch count up. So for me, Luke Holman's been a Friday night guy. If he goes out and dominates tomorrow, why not let him jump into that Friday role? Again, Maneri did that with Lewis and I, right? He told me, he was like, Lewis is going to start opening night. If you do your job on Saturday, you're taking that Friday night job. And Lewis is going to be our hybrid where he might close a Friday game and then start Sunday for 4, 5, 6 innings, that kind of thing. So we kind of knew that going in. The team knows that. They know what's going on, honestly. But they're probably not going to leak that to the press or talk about that outside their locker room and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I would love to see Luke Holman take over that Friday night role. And I think when you have an established Friday night pitcher,
sets the tone for the weekend. You said
I just
that
think
earlier.
it gives a team a confidence that's just a little different, yeah.
Carl, let Abby throw a couple. Don't you worry.
No, Abby's getting in the box.
Yeah, I'm finna go
I'm
yard.
a striker out.
Dude, he's saying that. Oh my gosh.
I seen you hitting the cages, but you had some tequilas in you, so that was the only reason you were getting lucky, I think.
No, I think I'm gonna be better sober.
Let's see. I'm just saying.
Maybe it's because I
you're a
wasn't
little
thinking.
looser.
I had not freaking swung a bat in years. And
That's what I'm saying. I think you had a little chip on your shoulder with the tequila, and you were like, "Watch," and you were free.
He bet me a freaking $100 that I wouldn't hit.
And you didn't take it, so
I did not bet on myself.
That's
I got
on you.
scared. Fear won. And
Unpopular
I said no.
opinion on Hurd. What's that? The unpopular opinion is that he's going to be a bullpen pitcher. Is that what we're saying?
I think they're agreeing with you with everything you said. Like most people. Yeah, no,
I see the but I agree, but I'm saying. So is that meaning that the popular opinion is that he's going to be our Friday night starter?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Really?
I think a lot of people think he's going to be our Friday night starter.
I think more so what he's saying is that Hurd does better out of the pen.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. And that's right, there was a lot of speculation that Thatcher was going to be the Friday night guy.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not. And again, I hope it is. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I would love to have a true
We're not
Friday.
preying on his downfall.
Yeah, I hope Thatcher is a dude
conversation.
and he becomes a great, like an All-American Friday night guy, and Holman's a great Saturday guy. That'd
be awesome.
Yeah, that's an incredible staff. So that's what I want. I'm just saying.
It's also a little bit from the perspective of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And what we saw last year in Omaha and in the Super Regionals,
correct.
He was a dude out of the pen for us.
Exactly.
So
and then to me, he did Lewis Coleman stuff. Now Lewis was more of a starter in 2009 because luckily we were. I would do pretty well on Friday, and then had Matty Ott emerge as a true closer, and he could do 2 innings, and Lewis didn't have to pitch Fridays. So Lewis could come Saturday or Sunday right away, and we would win Friday, Saturday, and take the series, right? So that's why Lewis got to start most of the games. But Lewis was in that role where it was like Lewis was in the bullpen the first 6 starts on Friday night for me. He was available. And if I only went 4 or 5 innings, Lewis was coming in right away to be our Friday savior type thing. And we would almost like today's world of like where they do the bullpen guy starts, or something for 2 innings, and then somebody comes in, the starter comes in after that. So I could see Thatcher doing something like that.
I do want to ask, okay, so talking about roles and like your starter, closer, reliever, I'm going to throw it back to football here. You just talked about if it's not broke, don't fix it, AKA don't move positions. We saw a lot of football players, LSU football players, playing out of position, and it showed, especially on defense. So when you take a pitcher who might be a bullpen guy and try to make him a starter, does that have that same kind of effect on like,
yeah.
I mean, I guess it would.
And going back to your Zach Hess thing, right? We tried to make him a starter when he was an All-American closer throwing 100 miles an hour, and he should have never been a starter.
Right.
Sometimes I think college kids, it's an unfortunate situation. I remember sitting with Zach Hess and literally going over it with him and trying to help him decide what was right. It was just, and now the game has changed a lot, but 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you really only got paid as a starting pitcher. And if you wanted to get drafted as a first rounder, you either had to throw 100 miles an hour as a closer, which Zach did, so he was in the talks as a first rounder. But if he could throw 96, 97 as a starter, we're talking like top 10 pick, right? And that's a big difference in money and all that stuff. So it's tough for a kid to hear, hey man, if you're just a starter and you can go 5, 6 innings with this stuff, you could be a top 10 pick, right? So I think people get attached to that idea because there's more value in starting pitching traditionally. But we just saw Josh Hader get $100 million as a closer. So the game is changing. We are seeing different analytics where closers are more valuable. And I bet you right now, if you ask Zach Hess, hey dude, if you could do it all over again in 2024, would you stay an elite All-American closer and throw 100 out of the bullpen? He'd say yes, because he'd probably get drafted in the 20 to 30 picks, but he would be in the major leagues tomorrow. And that's the difference. We see that guy from Tennessee that threw 103, and he's been in the big leagues since day one pretty much, And so the game has just changed a little bit, and people put a lot more value on relief pitchers, and starting pitchers just don't go as long anymore because we found out that analytics and stats prove that when a guy goes through a lineup a second and third time, they get worse and worse. So if we can value relievers that can come in and take that away from guys and not make them go through the lineup 3 times, then let's do that, And
it's changing even more now in the big leagues with the pitch timer. We saw more pitcher injuries last year than ever before.
Exactly.
So
that's
how do you correct that? Like you've already made that adjustment, and now you're facing more injury.
Pitch clock?
Yeah.
It's just going to take time. I think guys are going to condition differently. It's it's evolution, right? We're going to evolve. The game's going to evolve, and guys are going to be like, oh shit, I got to train differently. I got to do this differently. They're going to when they're playing catch every day, they're going to get the ball back and they're going to throw. They're not going to be
right.
Going to take their time, right? Because that's not realistic. You're not going to be able to do that in the game. So you got to figure out a way to perform, and it's just like anything else. You evolve as a human. So, yeah, man, somebody really wanted to get in here, huh?
The doors
somebody just
are
yanked
locked,
on that door.
Yeah. Were you always a like was that your role, Friday night starter? There was never another talk about anything else?
Yeah, I came in and I think so it's funny, Terry Rooney's now back at LSU. He's baseball operations, but he's in the dugout. I remember being in high school. Now, granted, funny story, all of us got to campus, all of the guys, every recruit my freshman year, we were all joking, saying, oh, you got those same messages from Rooney? You got those same messages from Rooney too? He was recruiting, right? There was a lot of guys
Copy-paste.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, yeah, and it's funny because I forgot what I was going to say, but Terry Rooney I'd be in class my senior year and I'd get a text message and it'd be like, hey, big right-hander, sitting up at the top of Alex Box Stadium, and I can just envision you pitching on Friday nights down here, in front of 10,000. Now, granted, there was talks of me being a second-round pick, third-round pick, and my family did okay, but we weren't from a ton of money, so I really only needed $500,000 to not go to LSU, and so he knew that, and he wanted me to come to LSU, right? Same with 4 or 5 other guys that he needed to come to LSU to make us that class that we were, and so he was telling that to everybody and stuff. So, but that's the belief that he needed everybody to have when they got here, and we all needed to compete against each other, right? So I think a lot of us came in thinking that, but I think I kind of fit that mold of a 6'7" power righty, that intimidating guy that can look at the other dugout and say F you and talk some shit a little bit, you know, and he liked that. He knew us from Jersey. I played basketball, and he was like, we need that down here in the South, and we need you to bring that kind of attitude to the game. And like, that was what fired a lot of guys up when I pitched and stuff like that. They enjoyed that stuff, and I enjoyed it, and I kind of fed off of it. So it was always kind of my role. It's always what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be a starting pitcher, and I always wanted to be a Friday night guy in the SEC. And also, like, I just loved pitching at night too. So Saturday and Sunday games are during the day. I was like, I don't want to pitch during the day. I want to be under the lights, baby. Let's go. Like, give me that ball on Friday nights, you know? So that was always my thing too that I wanted to do.
Sick. I figured you wouldn't be pitching during the day. You don't look like somebody that would pitch.
But I did come out of the bullpen my junior year when I was really struggling a lot too. So there was times where it was
did at one point.
Yeah, it was just because like I think I had like a nice stretch of 4 or 5 starts where I didn't pitch more than like 3 or 4 innings.
Oh,
what
yeah,
we talked about, right? So I was a little bit more fresh on Sundays, and I could come back. And I remember there was a game against Florida that I came out of the bullpen. Then there was a game against Mississippi State that I came out of the bullpen. But those were games where we had to win. And I went up to coach and I was like, if you need me, I'm ready. And he'd be like, really? And I'm like, I don't care about the draft. Like, get me in there. Let's go. Like, if you need me, throw me in there. So I remember one day I didn't even have cleats on. And I literally went up to Maneri and said, I'm going to put my cleats on. Put me in this game. And he was like, no. And then 5 minutes later, I was in the game.
You just told him you were gone pitch.
Well, I told you about that Alabama game too
Yeah.
in the SEC tournament. Like I told him I was pitching, and he argued with me. He was like, Scott's never gonna let me have another like Scott Boras client. Like, and I was like, I will handle Scott. Do you want to win the SEC tournament? Like, don't worry about it. Like, give me the ball. And yeah, it wound up working out. Thank God.
How does Maneri respond to that? Like, genuinely, like you.
Maneri wanted me to pitch. He wanted me to pitch, but he cared about me and he cared about his program and how that might look if he abused a potential first-round pick, right? So rightfully so. He was being smart and he cared about me as a human. He didn't want me to get hurt. He didn't want Scott to call him and say, why are you running my pitcher into the ground? It's 2 weeks. It's a week away from the draft. Now everybody's going to think he's, you know, are you abusing him? Did he pitch too much in college? You know, and there's going to be a narrative. So I understand from Maneri's perspective, and that's why I went up to him and said, I will handle Scott. I will handle the media. I will take it all off of you. Do you want to win? And he just looked at me, and he didn't. I knew it. I was like, I'm putting my cleats on and I'm pitching. And I just went out to the outfield and I just started throwing. And I grabbed Mike and I said, let's go. And he's like, what? And I was like, I'm pitching. And he was like, no, Maddie's pitching. I said, no, he's not. I'm pitching. And so him and I just started going and throwing the outfield. It was awesome. Maneri doesn't like that story.
He doesn't like it?
No.
I wonder why.
Yeah, he does not like that story. Yeah.
I hope he sees this.
Yeah.
You need to send him the link.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
You don't want him to see it.
I don't know about that. Maybe we get him on here one day and we have him tell the story.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
We should.
He will tell you. He'll be like, no, you did not say that. And I'd be like, okay.
Yes, I did.
Actually, nowadays, I bet you he would say it. He would say it.
Enough time has passed.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Last thoughts, remaining thoughts on opening day.
Yeah. Any other questions from everybody? Hey, there was a lot of participation today, so
For sure.
I appreciate everybody
really
in there.
cool.
That was really awesome. This was a lot of fun, and I think we're really looking forward to doing this all year. It's gonna be it's gonna be a good time.
I'm pumped. I love the recapping and the storytelling, and I think as we grow and you guys are involved in supporting the show, and we're getting to meet you guys in person and give away Paul Skeen's cards and all kinds of, hopefully, maybe some memorabilia down the line, signed memorabilia.
Maybe we should do. Are we gonna do one on Sunday this weekend? Right? Where we just said we're gonna do it all weekend, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we pick something, we put it out on social media, and we do a giveaway so we could get some people in the chat. That would be really
fun.
Cool. And we'll put in a couple extra submissions for Ray, Carl Dunn, and David Foles for who was it? Montgomery, Kaysen Montgomery. Yeah, you guys were the first OGs in here and beyond the box, so we appreciate y'all. And we'll put you guys some extra entries in the giveaway. It'll be really cool.
Yeah, we'll set that up for Sunday to wrap the first. Well, I guess not wrap because there's a Monday game, but we'll do it on Sunday. Figure it out. But we do appreciate y'all. This is the first Beyond the Box in the books. But yeah, this is fun. Excited to see it grow and what opportunities open up and where we end up at the end of the season.
Yep.
That'd be sick.
Thank you guys for being here.